The cove was quiet that night, the air heavy as if the sea itself held its breath. Obi and Nia sat close upon a smooth rock that jolted above the tide. The moon laid silver across the water, and for a moment it felt as though the whole world paused just for them. But shadows were moving. The last quiet moment. Nia leaned against Obi, her fingers tracing the ridges of his hand. Do you ever wonder, she whispered, what it would be like if our world are not divided? Obi turned to her, his eyes soft. Every moment I breathe. She smiled faintly, though sorrow lingered in her gaze. Then let me give you something more. She reached into the water and drew out a pearl, a larger one, larger than any Obi had ever seen. Its glow pulsed softly like a heartbeat. This, she said, pressing it into his palm. It is a soul pearl. It holds the memory of the sea. Keep it close and it will protect you when the tides turn against you. Obi closed his fingers around it, emotion tightening his throat. Nia, I don't want treasures. I only want you. Her lips curved into a trembling smile. Then promise me you will not let them take me. I promise, Obi whispered fiercely. On my life. But before she could answer, the sound of splashing feet shattered the night. Torches flashed at the edge of the cove. Soldiers poured in, spear gleaming, faces hard. At their front stood Bala, his cruel smile shining in the firelight. There she is, he cried. Seize her. Nia gasped, sliding back into the water. But the nets were already flying, heavy ropes splashing around her, weighted with stone. She fought, her tail flashing silver in the moonlight, but the soldiers pulled with practiced force. No, Obi roared, leaping forward, his feet striking the men nearest him. He fought like a lion, driven by love and fury. One guard fell into the water with a cry, but more closed in, pinning Obi's hand. Let her go, Obi shouted, his voice raw. Bala stepped forward, his eyes glittering. It is too late, Prince. Your father will have what he desires. Nia struggled in the net, her eyes wide with terror. Obi, I'm here, he cried, straining against the guards. Hold on, but Bala only laughed. Take her to the palace. By dawn, the great hall of the palace was filled with whispers of the court. Soldiers dragged Nia forward, the nets clinging to her. Her hair hung in wet tangles, her eyes filled with fear and fury. On the throne, King Obala leaned forward, diamonds on his crown catching the morning light. Then he saw her. His lips curled into a triumphant smile. At last, he said softly, the sea has returned its gifts. Nia spat out bitterly. I am not a gift. Release me, and perhaps the sea will forgive you. The king's smile hardened. The sea forgive nothing, but its tears will make my people strong. Obi struggled against the guards holding him, his voice breaking. Father, please, do not do this. You don't know what you are unleashing. Obala gaze snapped to him, sharp as a blade. You dare speak against me? After you hid her like a thief. I hid her to protect her from the cruelty, Obi cried. But the king turned away, his hand raised. Strike her. Let us see if her tears will carry diamonds. Bala hesitated only a moment before obeying. A whip cracked across Nia's back. She cried out, her body aching in pain. Tears spilled from her eyes, falling to the floor. The elders gasped as the tears hardened into glittering stone, brighter and purer than any diamond they had ever seen. Obala rose to his feet, his eyes ablaze with triumph. The prophecy is fulfilled. The coma will never fail. But Obi's chest burned with anguish. He saw the diamonds gleaming, but he could only see Nia's pain. Her eyes found his through the blur of tears. whispering a promise that echoed in his soul. The sea would not stay silent forever. Later that evening, as the court celebrated their new wealth, Obi slipped from the hall, his heart heavy with grief. Outside, beneath the shade of a palm tree, Mama Ife awaited him. Her cloudy eyes shone with knowings. So it has begun. Obi fell to his knees before her, tears burning his eyes. Mama, what can I do? They will break her as they did to Erewa. Mama Ife laid a trembling hand upon his head. Child, the sea has waited 200 years for this moment, and now it rises. You cannot stop what is coming. Obi's breath caught. Will she? Will Nia survive? The seer's voice was quiet, almost sorrowful. That depends on you and on the choice you will soon make to save her heart or to save your people. The day that followed Nia's capture were filled with celebration for the elders of Lekomo, but for Obi, they were days of torment. The palace echoed with music and laughter as merchants brought gifts in exchange for the promise of a new diamond. Elders walked proudly with jewels glittering at their necks, whispering of how their kingdom would soon surpass every nation on the coast. But behind the thick stone walls, in the chambers beneath the palace, Nia was kept. Her prison was carved deep into the rock, with a pool of sea water fed by the sea. To the elders, it was a gesture of mercy. She must be kept alive after all. But to Nia, it was a cage. Each day, the guards forced her to cry. They used whips, threats, and sometimes cruel songs meant to break her spirit. Her tears fell into bowls, each drop turning into a diamond more brilliant than the last. The people above saw only the wealth. They did not hear her sobs echoing against the stone, nor see the blood that sometimes mingled with her tears. Obi went to her whenever he could slip past the guards. Kneeling at the edge of her pool, he whispered, I swear, Nia, I will find a way to free you. Her eyes, though heavy with sorrow, still shone when she looked at him. Obi, she whispered, do not risk your life. If they take you too, who will remember me? He clenched his fist. I would rather die with you than live in a kingdom built on your pain. She reached for his hands, her hands trembling. Then promise me this. If the sea comes for me, do not stand in its way. Let it take me home. Obi's throat tightened, but he could not speak the promise aloud. Beyond the palace, the ocean began to change. Fishermen returned with empty nets, their faces pale with fear. The waters are barren, they whispered. The fishes are gone. Storm clouds gathered more often, blotting out the sun. The tides rose higher than they should, swallowing part of the shore. At night, the people swore they heard singings from the waves, low, mournful songs that carried both beauty and dread. Mama Ife, watching from her hut, shook her head gravely. The sea is warning us. She told anyone who would listen. Its patience is ending. But the people, blinded by the sparkles of diamonds, laughed at her words. In the great hall, King Obala grew prouder each day. The vaults filled with diamonds. The market overflowed with traders from distant kingdoms who came to bow before him. My reign will be remembered for eternity, he declared, his crown glittering with Nia's tears. But in private, when Obi begged for her freedom, his father's eyes turned cold. You are weak, Obanla said. You think like a fisherman, not a king. Do you not see? She is the key to our greatness. She is a living being, father, Obi shot back, his voice breaking. Not a jewel to be mined. Obanla's lip curled in disdain. Do not let your heart make you a fool. If you defy me again, Obi, you will regret it. That night, Obi returned to Nia's chamber. He pressed the glowing soul pearl she had given him into her hands. I cannot bear to see you suffer, he whispered. There must be a way. Nia shook her head, her eyes glinting. The sea is already rising. Soon it will come for me. If you love me, Obi, You must not stand against it. Obi held her tightly, his voice trembling. Then let me go with you. Whenever the sea takes you, let it take me too. Nia's tears fell softly against his shoulders. The sea does not always give back what it claims. As they held each other, a deep rumble echoed through the palace wall. The water in her pool rippled violently. Both of them froze. The sea, Nia whispered. That same night, Mama Ife was awoken by a dream so vivid it left her trembling. She saw the ocean rising, waves higher than the palace walls. She saw diamonds scattering across sands, useless under the crushing tides. And she saw Obi standing between the sea and the throne, with blood on his hands. At dawn, she rushed to the palace, demanding to see the king. But the guards refused. The king feasts. He has no time for rambling of an old woman. Mama Ife's eyes burned as she whispered, Then may the sea show him what my words cannot. The next day, as the people gathered in the market, a sudden roar shook the coast. The sea surged. A wave taller than any had ever seen, crashing against the walls of Lake Como. Screams filled the air as tails were swept away. Boats shattered and prayers scattered across the floated streets. The people fled in terror, crying out, The sea is angry. And in the depth of the palace, Nia closed her eyes, whispering a song so low only the waves could hear. Obi, holding her hands through the bars of her cage, felt the ground trembling beneath his knees. The storm has begun, Nia said softly, and it will not end until the sea takes back what was stolen. For 3 days, the ocean raged. The skies turned black as night. Thunder shook the heavens. The rain fell in endless sheets. Boats were smashed against the cliff. Fishermen lost to the deep. And the once proud market lay buried beneath water and debris. The people cried out to the gods, bringing sacrifices of goats and rams to the shorelines. But the sea swallowed their offering without mercy. In the palace, Gigonbanla's fury boiled hotter than the storm itself. Strutting the walls, Obanla roared, pacing before his throne. Bring more stones from the quarry. The sea will not break us. But his advisers shifted uneasily. My king, one said timidly. The people whispered that the storm is no ordinary one. They say the sea is angry at us. Obanla's eyes blazed. Silence, she is our blessing, not our curse. If she weeps, it is because she has not yet accepted her duty. Beat her harder. Let the diamonds flow until the sea itself bow before me. Bala, standing at the king's side, allowed a thin smile to creep into his face. As you command, my king. Obi stood at the edge of Nia's chamber, his heart breaking as he watched the guards carry out his father's order. The whip cracked again and again. Diamonds scattered across the wet stone floor. Stop this, Obi cried, shoving one of the guards aside. Can you not see you are killing her? The guards glared. Your father ordered it, prince. Obi dropped to his knees beside Nia, cradling her trembling form. Her lips were pale, her breath shallow. But when she looked at him, there was no more anger, only sorrow. The sea is listening, she whispered faintly. It will not let this continue. Obi's chest tightened. Tell me what to do, Nia. I will do anything. She lifted a weak hand, touching the shell that still hung from his neck. When the time comes, break it. What will happen? He asked desperately. Her eyes glimmered with faint light. The sea will hear you, but beware, Obi. The sea always take a price. That night, as the court feasted in defiance of the storm, a second wave rose. It was taller than the palace wall. Roaring like a beast awakened, it smashed through the gate, tearing down the marketplace, sweeping away livestock and home. The people screamed, fleeing to the higher grounds. Mama Ife raised her arms to the sky, her voice trembling. It begins. The sea demands what was stolen. Still, King Ombala shouted above the chaos. The walls will hold. The sea will not take my kingdom. But even as he spoke, a third rumble shook the earth. In the dead of night, as Obi kept watch by Nia's side, the water in her pool began to glow. A figure rose slowly from the depths, an old mermaid, her hair white as sea foam, her eyes as deep as the ocean floor. Nia's breath caught. Aunt Erewa. Obi's heart stopped. He knew the name. The tale whispered from generation. Erewa, the one his ancestors had broken. The spirit voice was slow and echoing, as though the sea itself spoke through her. Child of the sea, your suffering has reached us. The ocean weeps with you. Nia's tears flowed, mingling with the water. I cannot bear it, aunt. I am so tired. Irewa gaze turned to Obi. And you, son of man, you love her. Obi swallowed hard, more than my own life. Then know this, Irewa said. To save her, you must break the shell she gave you. The sea will answer, but it will ask of you a sacrifice greater than diamond. Obi's hand trembled as he touched the shell at his neck. What kind of sacrifice? The spirit eye glowed like lantern, one that will change Lekoma forever. As dawn approached, Obi knew the moment had come. The storm outside roared like a living beast. The walls trembled. He held Nia in his arms, her body weak but her eyes still burning with trust. Obi, she whispered, the sea is calling. Will you answer? Obi's heart pounded. He thought of his father, of the kingdom, of the people who would be swept away if the sea claimed its vengeance. And he looked at her, the one he loved beyond all measures. With a trembling breath, Obi lifted the shell high. I choose you, he whispered, and he shattered it against the stone. The sound echoed like thunder, and the sea answered. The moment the shell broke, the sound was like the cracks of the earth itself. The glowing fragrance dissolved into mist, and the wind howled through the palace corridor. The water in Nia's pool surged upward, spilling over the stone floor, and her body glowed with a fierce light. She clutched Obi's hand as her voice rose in a song unlike any she had ever sung before. Wild, sorrowful, filled with power. Far beyond the palace walls, the ocean rose. Waves taller than the cliffs thundered towards the palace. Lightning split the sky, striking the palace tower. The very earth trembled, as though the gods themselves had woken. King Obala staggered as the walls shook. What have you done? He roared. Obi stood tall, his arms around Nia. I freed her. The king's face twisted with fury. You fool! You have doomed us all. It was you who doomed us, Obi shot back. 200 years of greed and cruelty. Did you think the sea would never demand justice? Nia's song swelled, filling the chamber with light. Diamonds formed in the air, glittering like falling stars, then dissolved into water that poured across the floor. Obala drew his sword, his hands shaking with rage. If I must kill her myself to save Lekoma, so be it. He raised the blade, but Obi stepped in front of Nia. You have to go through me, he said, his voice low and steady. For a moment, Obanla hesitated, staring into his son's eyes. Behind them, the storm roared, the walls crumbling. You would betray your blood for her, the king demanded. Obi's eyes burned. She is my blood now, my life, my heart. Obanla's hand shook, but his greed was stronger than his love. With a roar, he thrust the sword forward. Obi met him, grappling with the blade. Pain seared through his arm, but he held fast, refusing to let the steel touch Nia. The struggle lasted only a moment, but it felt like eternity. And then, with a deafening crack, the ceiling above gave way. A torrent of seawater burst into the chamber, sweeping both men from their feet. Obanla's crown was torn from his head as he was dragged into the flood. His cry lost to the sea. Obi clung to Nia as the water rose, pulling them upward. She wrapped her arms around him, her eyes glowing brighter now, her voice still singing the song of the sea. Hold on, she whispered. The sea had claimed you. I am not afraid, Obi said. His breath raged. The water closed over their heads. For a moment there was only silence. Then in the depth, Nia's tail shimmered with brilliant light, wrapping around Obi as though shielding him. He felt his chest burn, then cool, then open as though he could breathe underwater. The sea cradled him, holding him as gentle as she did, and together they vanished into the deep. Above, the waves consumed Lekoma. The palace crumbled, his tower shattered, his diamonds scattered uselessly into the tides. The people fled to the hills, weeping, clutching only the clothes upon their backs. When the storm finally passed, nothing remained of the proud kingdom but ruins and silence. And yet, in the heart of the survivors, one question burned: where is the prince?